Hello, class, and welcome to a review of our discussion on our conclusion paragraphs. Now, keep in mind with the conclusion, you want to do three things, and I call them the three R's: repeat, review, reflect. Repeat your thesis, review your support, what elements of fiction, which critical thinking strategies did you uh, analyze to prove your extended definition of your abstract term. And last, reflect on the prompt. Reflect on the human experience. What did we learn about life? What did we learn about identity, depression, whatever the abstract term or terms you're focusing on in the essay, and related to the human experience? Because remember, right, when we write about literature, we learn about life, we learn about the human experience. When we read and analyze literature, we learn about life, we learn about the human experience. So let's have a look see at the conclusions as of today. By analyzing how Desiree's identity changed through our unknown. Yes, nice, Sua. Right? The decisions we make in our lives. Ah, great job, right? Great job reviewing your fiction, right? When we change our identities, it can be negative. And again, balance between reasons and emotions when making decisions. That's awesome. She repeats, she reviews, she reflects. Well done. Nice comments. Nice comments. Okay. Um, mhm. Again, I think we could be more specific, and I think use Sua's conclusion as a good example for us to repeat the point. Right? We want to be specific. We want to repeat the point about the term. Right? So again, which specific term from the list on page 117 are you focusing on? Right? Hamlet is a character worth the sympathy of two. Right? So character. So identity, it looks like. Unhealthily obsessed. Oh, torture is not just a physical act, but a mental game as well. Okay, good. Nice job, Morgan. Bringing it back to the idea of torture and how it can be psychological and not just physical. I like that idea of the chess piece in this game of mental torture. Maybe a possible title. People, as I've said before, some of the best advice I was given with regard to titles: look to your intro, look to your conclusion. Is there a group of words? Is there an idea that maybe you could develop into a title? Um, okay, more like a summary. So again, but again, bringing in milieu, bringing in push and pull of emotions. Um, this news was the tipping point for Hamlet's mind. Morgan, I think you do a nice, and again, John, that's great feedback. But notice how Morgan presents summary and then relates it to the purpose. So it's okay if you bring summary in the conclusion because you're repeating and reviewing, but as long as you're reflecting on how what you analyzed in the text relates to your issue, I think that works. Now, could you maybe mention the idea of psychological torture a little bit sooner in the intro, and might that help? Maybe, but again, these are just drafts. Good job. Nice feedback. Ooh, I like your wording. Good positive feedback, Jessica. All right, John, nicely done. Bringing in addiction, bringing in the characters, bringing in the fiction, bringing in the setting, the elements of plot, bring to light the heavy complications that people go through when struggling with addiction. Yes, John. Nicely done. Maybe, right, even take it just a step further, right? The heavy complications that people go through when struggling with addiction, and do not use critical thinking strategies. Maybe focus on a particular critical thinking strategy, or was the character guilty of hidden assumptions? Was the character guilty of hubris, arrogance, with relation to their decision making process? Did they not use Rogerian strategy or dialectical thinking? So again, John, great job. But as we want to make sure we touch on, repeat the point about our issue, uh, review the fiction and support, and then think about, reflect on the human experience, and specifically on how critical thinking relates to our new understanding of this abstract term. But again, that's why they're drafts, and that's why you're getting my feedback and feedback from each other. So nice feedback as well, Josh. Um, Yes, excellent points, excellent points. And again, I love how everybody's engaging. Richie, okay, you bring in the idea of alcoholism. Okay. So fiction. So you're definitely summarizing the points that you're making about alcoholism, but notice when you use this second person you, you're directly mentioning your reader. You should not be analyzing the reader. You should be analyzing the fictional source or sources. So make sure that you're mentioning the literature, make sure that you're expanding upon how your analysis of critical thinking skills with regard to your fiction gives us a new understanding about alcoholism and how we can hopefully deal with it and overcome it in the instances when critical thinking skills can be beneficial. So good start, right? But again, we have to make sure that the fiction is the focal point of our analysis as well as the issue. Okay, Hamlet needs to be in italics. Depression could be hard for society to understand and accept. However, using critical thinking, one can have, I like that one, right? Rather than you, one just means a reader in general, have a better understanding of depression and its factors. Okay, so I think you're well on your way here, Idania, nicely done. But what is the better understanding? What critical thinking strategies? Is it using Rogerian strategy? Is it avoiding hidden assumptions? Is it using Occam's razor? Is it engaging in dialectical thinking? So I think you could be a little bit more specific here as well, right? Good feedback. Okay, Jessica. Good mention of the characters and pain to others. His hand, and we can only conclude they live happily ever after. Self-growth and reflection, elopement. Okay, again, good summary, if you would, of the fiction and the points that you made, reviewing the fictional analysis. But what was your issue? And specifically, what did we learn about your issue by examining this fiction from a critical thinking perspective? Again, what strategies? Occam's razor, dialectical thinking, Rogerian, things of that nature. So I think there's a good start too, but definitely could use some additional information with regard to your issue, repeating the point, and your reflection on your issue with regard to literature. A good point, Sua. But again, the summary works. Just incorporate your analysis of your issue and the human experience after each of those summary points so that it has that coherence. So it's okay for those of you that are bringing summary into your conclusion. You just need to synthesize, right? Remember, you're analyzing, you're evaluating, and you're synthesizing. So synthesize your analysis, your summary of the fiction, your evaluation of the issue, right? Synthesize all that together to make a point about the human experience because, right, of your critical thinking and fictional analysis. Yep, nice feedback. Yes, no worries, Tommy. It's meant to be a work in progress. Drugs, addiction. So rather than drugs are dominating, maybe bring up the, yeah, okay, no, that works because then you say addiction in the next sentence. Medically abundant phenomenon that restricts the lives of the addict. Absolutely. Okay, so now, Tommy, good job on the issue and the human experience and what we learn about addiction and how we can use critical thinking skills, right? Can be treatable. How, right? So bring in the critical thinking idea here, and then also make sure that you review your fictional sources so that you can synthesize your analysis of the fiction with your extended definition of the abstract term addiction to prove what we learn about addiction and how we can better use critical thinking skills to overcome it. Nice review of the fictional sources. Josh and I actually talked about his paragraph during the office hours. So for those of you that want some Zoom feedback in real time, remember you can always come to the office hours, or we can set up a Zoom appointment at a time that works for you. On Tuesdays and Thursdays, my office hours are done at 12 noon. So anytime after that, And we can also set something up for Monday, Wednesday, or Friday if you'd like a real-time Zoom. So keep that in mind. As I told Josh, I thought he did a really nice job of reviewing his supporting points, reflecting on the issue. The darkness of uncritical thought fueled by unbridled ambition. Him and I worked on that sentence together. Great job, Josh. That is an awesome sentence. And it does a really nice job of bringing the conclusion together. Mila, nice reflection on identity, right? And the fiction. Yep. Okay. And Desiree's now, Desiree's baby is constantly changing as one grows and learns more about themselves. Okay, so close, right? You mentioned the fiction, you mentioned your issue. Now, evaluate and synthesize. What did we learn about identity by analyzing the fictional sources? And I think with identity, what we seem to be learning, those of us that keep writing about identity, is that when people make illogical decisions and choices to change their identity, it has negative effects. Whereas if they use what? Critical thinking skills like Occam's razor, dialectical thinking, Rogerian strategy, avoiding hidden assumptions, and focusing on logos rather than irrational emotional appeals, fallacies, right? And letting hubris fuel their decision-making process. So I hope this video is helpful. Again, these are drafts, so the feedback from your fellow students and myself should assist you as you revise the essays as a whole, and hopefully achieve your learning outcomes by creating a conclusion that synthesizes your analysis of the fiction with your evaluation of the issue to prove through an extended definition of your abstract term a point about life, right? When you reflect on the human experience, you're reflecting on rhetorical awareness, global awareness, and life. So that's the whole point of reading and writing about literature. I got the title in, right? Reading and writing about literature, literally, just as the book tells us in the first chapter. When we read literature, we learn about life, and when we write about literature, we're learning about ourselves and the human experience. Thanks for listening. Let me know if you have any questions, as always. Until next time.